All right. Good morning, class. As you know, or maybe you don't know, historians are like detectives. And just like detectives have fingerprints and broken glass and things to figure out what happened, historians use artifacts such as the pottery or the artwork or, very importantly, the written text of the civilizations of the past. And what they have to do, especially when they look at a text or whatever, is look very closely to find the little clues to reconstruct what happened way back when. Well, today we're going to look at not an original text, but a text from a historical fiction and do the same things that historians do and look at it for clues to figure out, well, what's happening? What kind of person is this describing? And this is important. This is an important skill. It will help you with your papers. It will help you be better history students. And it will just help you understand better what happened in the past. And so what we're going to do is we're going to read this prompt. And then I'm going to ask you a few questions. Well, I'm going to make a statement. And then you're going to say whether you agree or disagree and prove it from the text. I really don't care what you imagine about whatever. You need to look at the text, just like historians do, and find the clues and say, well, this is why I think whatever the case. Okay? And what we're going to do is I'm going to break you into groups. You're going to discuss. And then I would like, throughout the discussion, at least once, share with the whole class what your opinion is about this, about the question, as you'll see. All right? So, although I'm going to ask some specific questions, what I want you to be thinking about as we read this passage through is what kind of person is this describing? What was involved in being this type of person? And then would you have liked it? So kind of think through these things as we construct it, okay? So Justine, would you start reading and then I'll stop you and someone else will pick up.
From somewhere below them, beyond the barred gates of the wild beast's den, a wolf began to howl, the wild and mournful note rising above the uproar of the crowded benches. The man said, even the wolves feel it. Feel it?
Okay. Why don't you say?
The thing that's running through the den's down there. But what should you know of that? The man glanced contemptuously at Justin again. How should you know what it's like, the last moments of waiting before the trumpet sound?
Ricky?
You test your weapons again, though you tested them not 100 heartbeats ago. And maybe your sword hand grows a little sticky, so you rub it in the sand to give you a better chance of your life. You take your place in the file that's forming up, ready to march into the arena, and you hear the crowd gathering, 1,000, 20,000 strong. It makes no matter, as many as the place will hold. And you know that they've come to watch you.
Anthony?
And the bread and onions you ate this morning tasted better than any feast to a man who expects to eat again. And the sun through the grills overhead is brighter for you than for any man who thinks to see it rise tomorrow. Because you know that, like as not, you're going to die out there in the sand.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Out there in the sand with 20,000 people looking on. If not this fight, then the next, or the 100 after that. But there's always the chance that you will gain your reward for.
All right. Very good. Let's start. I'm just going to go through one of each section. Okay? First question. The two men are standing in a forest clearing. How do you know? Is that true, false, and how do you know from the text? Oh, I didn't divide you in groups. Let's just, you three, you two.
It was all talk of sand, so probably not. Just based on the fact that, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's probably full. Sounds like a desert or something.
What do you think, Ricky?
We think they're not in the forest because it says they're beyond the barred gates of the wild beast den and that there are grills overhead, so clearly they're in some sort of enclosed space.
Okay, good. What did you say, Gus?
Yeah, we said no also.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like it's a forest. It sounds more like a desert or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. So then the next questions I would have asked, I'll just read them. We won't discuss them. The man is describing a public fight. The man thinks highly of Justin. Okay, so now for understanding I'll ask the second question. So the first one was, when entering the arena, the fighters expected to die. And the second one, the man talking to Justin has fought as a gladiator. True or false, and how do you know?
I think it's true, but there's not much that like you could point and say it definitely is. It just kind of sounds like it, because like the way like 20,000 people looking on, talking about dying in the fight, sand sounds like it's in the Coliseum. So.
You already
And the
read.
President is very popular. Yeah, definitely.
What do you think, Anthony?
Well, we couldn't tell for sure, but we think it is that he's a gladiator because there's 20,000 people looking on,
Okay.
talking about dying in either this fight or the next fight.
All right.
There's bread and onions, which was popular back then, like for Romans, and there he's talking about on the sand,
Okay.
and it was sand on the
Right.
Colosseum.
Okay. That's good. What do you think?
We thought the same, just because there was a crowd, they were talking about like the animals coming out.
Okay. Yeah. Animals and warriors. Good. All right, and then the next one was the quote, "Thing that's running through the dens is a feeling of excitement." All right, now for synthesis. The first one was participating in the Roman games was suicide. The man found pleasure in his job. This is what we'll talk about. If required to die for entertainment, I would refuse to fight. What do you think?
It's probably easier just to say I agree because killing is not entertainment. Some bullcrap. As well. Oh yeah.
Finish this off.
Most of the time, like we put gladiators, like they will have to like sitting on
Yeah.
just for entertainment.
If I was a big, strong man, if I was like Russell Crowe in the movie, then I would fight.
Yes, I was capable of it.
What do you think, Gus? What's your group
Human
say?
instinct takes over.
Oh, okay.
You want to save yourself.
What was the question again?
The question is, if required to die for entertainment, I would refuse.
I was telling Anthony this probably from Gladiator or Spartacus, one of these things where the gladiators because of their good killing, like they won't do it for entertainment, they'll do it because they're good at it,
Okay.
not because they want to entertain anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not really entertainment?
No.
That's one point. What did you think?
Well, we talked about how we just two were girls.
Yeah, that
That's
affects
typical,
things.
but I said that even if I was a guy and I was a gladiator, I would probably end up killing myself or just like having one of the animals kill me.
Okay.
I would
So you
do
just
that.
couldn't bear the suspense of
Yeah.
it. Okay. What do you think, Ricky?
I think eventually, even if I didn't want to fight, I would kind of be forced into it because I would go to the Coliseum and then I like just facing the animal. Like I think human instinct takes over at a point, and
Okay.
you just want to save yourself.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're gonna fight
Some
however you
interest-
can.
yeah. Okay. An important point to remember is they were slaves. They were being forced to do this. So I mean, yeah, there's the point that you could just throw yourself into it, but there's no way that you could not go in. I mean, unless you want to immediately die. So that, yeah, that's good. Some good answers. Okay, this was indeed talking about a gladiator, and it's from the book by Rosemary Sutcliffe called The Silver Branch. And we're going to be reading this as we start our unit on Rome. So you're going to be reading this along with as we discuss Rome. And it shows really well Roman life and Roman colonial life. And at the end of this, you're going to be writing a book report that's not going to be a typical book report, but you're going to take a passage, probably a little longer than this, and do close reading and look for clues and come up with an argument that's just from that text. So you're going to be using those skills. All right, you all are well on your way to being good historians and detectives. So great job.